Go! Now it's time for the Robb Johnson Sports Show, presented by the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Welcome, everybody, to the Robb Johnson Sports Show. Another great episode here, episode 58. Remember, episode 60 is happening this Sunday night with me and Larry Patterson. I have another episode coming tomorrow for you guys. Either tomorrow or Thursday. I will make that decision tonight and let you all know. But we have 4 topics we need to get into today. First and foremost, let's get into the Philadelphia 76ers. Of course, as you all know, they just got a deal done with Paul George, 4 years, $212 million. Congratulations to him for getting that deal. Congratulations to Maxey for getting this $200+ million deal. Now, we've seen this before with Daryl Morey. We've seen Daryl Morey make moves when he was in Houston. We've seen him get on the precipice to a championship in Houston. We've seen him do great things with Houston. But you look at the situation in Houston now, how they had to rebuild after he basically signed his life away to James Harden. Brought in other free agents. Things did not work out in the Houston Rockets' favor. So the question is today for everyone, do you feel that these moves are going to end up coming back and backfiring on the Philadelphia 76ers? And, of course, you all know how I am. I always bring up the obvious, right? Because I just have to. One thing about sports, it's undefeated when it comes to certain topics, and it comes to certain things that are just undeniable. So we all know the injury history of Joel Embiid. We all know the injury history of Paul George. And the thing is, folks, is neither one of them are getting any younger. Father Time is undefeated. We all get older. We all start to feel the effects of Father Time as we get older. So let's just be honest here. Let's look at things from this perspective. Let's look at a guy like Joel Embiid. So we look at his career. What is he? He'll be 31 on March the 16th. So basically, he's been in the league now for what? Let's see. He's been in the league since 2016. So let's go to the stats. Let's go to the specifics. Joel Embiid, since he started in the league in 2016, we always talk about players not playing a full season, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about Joel Embiid. This is starting the 2016-2017 season. 31 games, 63 games, 64, 65, 51, 68, 66, and this past season, 39 games. Now, he did average 34.7 points per game during this current season. However, he was not able to stay healthy. Not staying healthy landed the Philadelphia 76ers in the 7th seed. They had to play the 7th seed against the New York Knicks. The Knicks ended up winning that series. So this was his highest points per game average in his career. He's averaging 27.9. So what you have to ask yourself is, folks, is this. If he came into the league in 2016 and what was he, 21 at the time? 21, 22? How is he going to stay healthy now at the age of 30? How at the age 30 is he going to stay healthy? We understand he's a big man. We understand that he dominates. But how is he going to stay healthy? Now, we go to Paul George. And again, 76ers fans have debated me over the years, telling me I don't like Joel Embiid. It's not that I don't like Joel Embiid. I like Joel Embiid. I think Embiid is a really good player. I think Embiid is one of those guys where, he's a great player. He just cannot stay on the basketball court. And we've seen it. He's never been to the Eastern Conference Finals. Of course, he's never been to the NBA Finals. So if he's never done those things, then how can we depend on him now? How can the 76ers depend that he is going to actually do something in this upcoming season? So it says intensive for after. We won't talk about today, but we'll talk about that next show. Utah State coach was fired over a Title IX incident, but that's a little bit of breaking news for you. Let's get to Paul George. Now, Paul George has been with the Indiana Pacers. He's been with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the LA Clippers. Now he's going to be with the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's go through Paul George's history. Now, mind you, in 2014, 2015, he only played 6 games because of injury. So let's go through Paul George. 61 games, 66, 79, 80, 6. Of course, I just said that. 81, 75, 79, 77. Now, the last time Paul George played in at least 70 games before this season was in 2017-18 with the Oklahoma City Thunder. 2019 through 20, these are the games now. 48, 54, 31, 56, 74. His highest points per game average in his career came in 21-22 when he, no, I'm sorry, that was 2018-2019, Oklahoma City, when he averaged 28 points per game with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, we've seen this story before. You remember when we had Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, and Paul George. It didn't work out, folks. That was 6 years ago. Paul George is what? At this point in his career, he's what, 34 years old. He'll be 35. He'll be 35 next May. May the 2nd of next year, he'll be 35 years old. And that's my point, guys. He can't stay healthy. Neither one of these guys can really stay healthy. So if we're talking about them not being able to stay healthy when they were younger, then how are they going to stay younger now? Now, the other guy they got to deal was Tyrese Maxey. He agreed to a 5-year, $204 million contract. So we look at Tyrese Maxey. He's only been in the league since 2021. He's played 61, 75, 60, and 70 games. So with the new rules, where you have to play a certain amount of games, none of these guys have been able to clearly stay healthy throughout their career. They never really were able to play a full season. Now, 70 games, 70, 60, 75, 61, that's not bad. But the problem is you also have to look at Maxey. He's 23 years old. He has a good amount of time left in his career. But how much weight is going to be on this young man's shoulders? How much weight is going to be on his shoulders by the time he's 27, 28 years old? He's going to be worn down because a lot of times when you are dealing with Joel Embiid and you don't do things the way that Joel Embiid wants you to do, you start feeling that pressure. You start thinking, man, I gotta do so much. And is Tyrese Maxey going to be the next James Harden? Is he going to get so big that he starts to feel himself? Is he going to start thinking that he is the team? Because if you're Maxey, you're there. Joel Embiid is not always there. So it's going to start to be a question. And I know people don't want to believe this. They don't want to think that this is a possibility. There's going to be an internal struggle to see whose team this is. Whose team is this going to be? Is it going to be Joel Embiid's? Is it going to be Tyrese Maxey? Or is it going to be Paul George? And that's going to come very soon. Because I can guarantee you this. If Joel Embiid gets hurt again, Paul George or Tyrese Maxey is going to have a struggle for this team. Daryl Morey, he made his bed. Now he's going to have to sleep in it. You have to look at the East. Are they better than Boston? Hell no. Are they better than New York right now? In my opinion, hell no. Are they better than Cleveland? Well, they still have Donovan Mitchell. Till Donovan Mitchell walks out that door, and then they just drafted Jalen Tyson out of Cal, who I said would be the steal of the draft. They got that young man. It's a debate whether if Cleveland is healthy, if they're better than Cleveland. It's a lot of, even Indiana. Let's be honest about that, right? Indiana just got better. Indiana just went to the Eastern Conference Finals and was competitive as hell against the Boston Celtics. Now they're adding pieces. Now they're adding younger talent, younger legs. That's one thing about Indiana, folks, that not a lot of people are talking about. In fact, I had a gentleman tell me the other day, I'm not going to say his name because that was a private conversation. But there was a fan of another team, purple and gold. And he's basically saying, look, these teams got to get younger. These teams got to get younger. And that's the thing. These teams have got to realize that this basketball is a young man's game. Basketball is a young man's game. And if you are going to play in this league, you got to have fresh legs. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a veteran. We look back at the Bulls in the old days, but look what happened with the Golden State Warriors. Look what just happened with the Golden State Warriors. They got rid of Klay Thompson. Now he's off in Dallas. Everybody's excited about that move, but guess what? Klay Thompson is at an older age now. Defense, that's going to be an issue. Paul George, I can definitely say, still at the age of 34, almost 35, is still a really good defender. However, in the East, you're going to have to deal with a whole different beast of players who are more athletic, etc. There are athletic players in the West, don't get me wrong. But in the East, when you're dealing with Boston, when you're dealing with the Knicks, teams like that, teams that have fresh young legs, it's gonna be a problem. So looking at the Sixers right now, their main thing this offseason, they have to train better, they have to make sure they're healthy, and they have to make sure that they're doing things correctly so that they are going into the season as the best version of themselves. We can't afford to come into the season and the Philadelphia 76ers are marred by injuries. We can't come into the season and the Sixers don't know if Joel Embiid is going to be available. Joel Embiid cannot be chasing the MVP. It's not about the MVP, brother. It's not about the MVP. You are 30, almost 31 years old. You need to be looking for championships. At first it was Ben Simmons' fault. Then it was this James Harden's fault. Then it was this guy's fault, and that guy's fault, and this fault. Sooner or later, Joel Embiid, you're going to have to look into the mirror, sir, and say, hey, this is on me. Now, I'm not blaming Joel Embiid, but sometimes his body just would break down. And that's not his fault. That's life. That's the world we live in. But if I'm the Sixers, I have to really think long and hard after the season. If Embiid continues to get hurt, you cannot waste that contract on Paul George. You're going to have to eventually make a move. You're eventually going to have to make a move if you're Philadelphia, meaning that if you have to trade Joel Embiid in the next 2 years, if he keeps getting hurt, and I said this to a couple of Sixers fans, they got mad at me, but I said, listen, guys, you have to maximize Joel Embiid's. You have to maximize his. I guess you could say. I'm going to say this. And his value. You have to maximize his value the best you can while he still has value. You don't want to have a 33, 34-year-old Joel Embiid, and he's so hurt that you can't do anything with him. Who's going to want him at that point? So if you got to trade him in the next 2 years, if you don't get to an Eastern Conference Finals or NBA Finals, it's not about how much you love the person. I mean, think about it. These are the same people who got rid of Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson took that team, who's not even as talented as the team they have now, to an NBA Finals. A team that beat Indiana, a team that beat the Toronto Raptors with Vince Carter and the crew, a team that beat the big dog, Sam Cassell and Ray Allen back in the early 2000s. He did that. Allen Iverson did that. He had help, don't get me wrong, it's a team game, but mostly that was an Allen Iverson type of thing. So, again, you have this talented team right here. You do not want to waste it. Do not waste it, not whatsoever. Because if you do, in the next 3-4 years, you might be looking, as I said on Facebook, you might be looking at a Houston Rockets situation. Once again with Daryl Morey, who continues to get a pass by our media. But hey, it is what it is. Now, let's go to the next topic here, NFL topic. Now, Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is a player that quite simply wants to be out of San Francisco because he wants a new deal. And I cannot blame Brandon Ayuk for wanting a new deal. I can't blame Brandon Ayuk for wanting to have more money. But, folks, again, I bring up the stats. And I would do the same thing as I'm going to talk about CeeDee Lamb here. CeeDee Lamb had a great regular season. But what happened in the playoffs? It's all about the playoffs, folks. It's all about what you do in the playoffs, in my opinion. Not all about what you do in the playoffs, because the regular season is important. Do not get me wrong. But when you're talking about the type of money that Brandon Ayuk wants, when you're talking about Brandon Ayuk wanting to be the top paid receiver, let's look at what Brandon Ayuk did in this past year's playoffs. Against the Green Bay Packers, after they had the first round bye, he only had 6 targets, 3 receptions, 32 yards. Now, this could be because of the quarterback. We don't know. This could be because of the quarterback. This could be because of them running the ball a lot with Christian McCaffrey. I couldn't tell you that. But against the Detroit Lions, he had 8 targets, 3 receptions, 68 yards. People were torturing. They were just torturing the Detroit Lions secondary all year long. He only had 6 catches for 6 targets for 3 receptions. He had no touchdowns. Well, I'm sorry, he did have a touchdown. He had 8 targets, 3 receptions, 68 yards, 1 touchdown. He had that big 51-yard gain. Now, that 51-yard gain was important. However, only 68 yards, only 3 catches. You got to do better than that, especially in that type of game when you have 8 targets, because the 49ers could have easily lost the game. Now, was he instrumental in that win? He was, in a sense, because of the touchdown. But, I just feel like with 8 targets and only 3 catches, you have to do better than that, especially if you're looking for that big money. In the Super Bowl, 6 targets, 3 receptions, 49 yards. In the Super Bowl, you lose 25-22. Where were you in overtime? Where were you in overtime? That's what I want to know. Now, we look at Ayuk. He's in his, I believe it's his 4th or 5th year out of Arizona State. He's 26 years old, so he's pretty young when it comes to being a receiver who should still be getting paid. He came into the league in 2000 when he was 22. Over the years, let's look at his stats here. 60 catches in 2020, 56 in 2021, 22 he had 78 catches, and this year he had 75 catches, which is 3 below what he had last year. He has 25 touchdowns since 2020, and he has his high in touchdowns was 2022 of 8. So in 2022 he had 114 targets, in 2023 he had 105. He had 1,015 yards in 2022, and 23 had 1,342 yards and 7 touchdowns. So this is my observation. This is my clear observation of Brandon Ayuk. I think he's a really good receiver. I think that he is a receiver that continues to be disrespected in a sense because I feel that he's been very important when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. However, here's the problem. This is the problem if you're the 49ers. Who are you going to pay? Who are you going to pay? Because you got a lot of guys who are coming up very soon. You got a lot of guys who are coming up very soon. You got a lot of players who you got to pay. Now, if you were to look at the current, if you were to look at the current cap situation, you would think to yourself, the 49ers got all the money in the world. Here's the problem. When you go to 2020, when you go to the 25 season, their cap number is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. So I'm going to show you. I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to tell you guys what it is. Right now, currently, the 49ers have $31,463,497 in their cap space. Okay? So that means they are 6th in the NFL behind the Patriots, Commanders, Cardinals, Lions, Raiders, and then the 49ers. And that's beautiful, right? So, yeah, Brandon Ayuk's like, hey, where's the money? You got all this money. Where's the money, right? But here's the problem if you're Brandon Ayuk. You go to 2025, the San Francisco 49ers are $38,915 and they are close to $39 million against the cap. I mean, it's so close to $39 million, I had to round it up. But anyway, right now it's at $38,915,000. So nearly $39 million next year for the San Francisco 49ers, where that's going to be against the cap. So this is pretty much the last dance for the San Francisco 49ers. This is the last dance for them because, quite simply, you're going to be too much in the hole. You just paid Christian McCaffrey. You're going to have to pay your quarterback. You're going to have to pay Purdy sooner or later. If he has a horrible year, then you pretty much could draft a quarterback. But it seems like with Kyle Shanahan, he's like Mr. Quarterback chairs, where he brings in one quarterback, brings another quarterback, brings another quarterback. Are they going to sign Brock Purdy long term? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I feel like that their priority is Christian McCaffrey. I feel like if they know they have Christian McCaffrey and they have Trent Williams, that they're good. But they might even have to think about Trent Williams going into next year because they got a lot of money that's going to be underneath the cap that they're not going to be able to recover from. So if you are the San Francisco 49ers and you're Brandon Ayuk, what are your options? Where do you go? There have been rumors about Washington. There have been rumors about Pittsburgh. Do I think Brandon Ayuk goes to Washington? No, I don't think that's a possibility because, even if you look at the cap next year, the Commanders would have $71 million in cap space. Right now, the Commanders have $37 million in cap space. So right now, you look at their situation, they're still in a better situation than the San Francisco 49ers. Now, what's the other option? The other option is Pittsburgh Steelers. Right now, they have $15 million in cap space at the current moment. You go to 25, the Steelers have $77 million in cap space. So the Commanders, the Steelers. You look at those two situations. You look at the other situation. I'm gonna tell you guys something. You guys are gonna look at me crazy, but I'm telling you right now, there is a team that nobody is talking about that I believe has a chance at Brandon Ayuk that again nobody's talking about. And this would be a cocky move by the 49ers. When I tell you cocky, it would be a very cocky move because they're like, hey, we're the 49ers, we're better than you. How about the 49ers doing the ultimate disrespectful thing, saying, we don't think you're that good, Brandon Ayuk. We think you're replaceable. What about they trade him to the Arizona Cardinals? What if they traded Brandon Ayuk to the Arizona Cardinals? This is why I'm saying this. The Cardinals have $88 million in cap space going into 25. They have the highest cap space out of anyone. You already have Harrison Jr. You have Harrison Jr. He's in there. He's one of the top young receivers in the league that we already assume is going to be very good. How cocky would be of them to do that? Now, another team, the New England Patriots. The Patriots have $44 million in cap space this year. Going to next year, they're going to have $87 million in cap space. You're going to need a receiver for Drake May. Eventually, Drake May is going to play. I'm not a fan of Drake May. I hope he does well, but I just don't think he's that dude. Now, they're going to the New England Patriots are going to have a high draft pick next year if they lose a bunch of games. I think they're going to be better than people think, especially if Jacoby Brissett plays. I think that their defense is still very elite. Their offense has some issues. Now, who knows what happens going to next year? Could we have a Josh Rosen situation where they don't like what he's doing and they draft another guy the next year? I seriously doubt it. But let's say the Patriots do have the number one pick next year and they do go after Shedeur Sanders. It would be risky because you just drafted Drake May and you gave up some things and they stayed packed, but you just drafted Drake May. And how would the fan base feel about that? I didn't agree with drafting Drake May. I would have done some other moves. I would have got me a wide receiver. I was actually looking at Harrison Jr. to the Patriots at that spot. And then I would be looking at getting a quarterback in this upcoming in the 2024 and the 25 draft, because I think there are some really good quarterbacks in that draft. So there's a lot of possibilities. Right now, like I said, I'm looking at the Cardinals, the Patriots, the Steelers, and the Commanders. Some say, could the Cowboys be a possibility? No. If they trade CeeDee Lamb, first of all, you would never get a trade between the Cowboys and 49ers and swap receivers. That would never happen because both receivers are looking to get paid. So that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. You're looking at teams like the Bears don't need a receiver. They definitely do not need a receiver. The Vikings, the Packers could be a team possibly, but again, you're not getting a trade with the Packers. So those are my teams possibly. The Cardinals, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Commanders. In my opinion, if you're going to trade Brandon Ayuk or if he goes in free agency, those will be the teams that he would go to going into next year. That's just my opinion. That's how I look at things. I just think that in that situation, if you are Brandon Ayuk, you want to get paid. You just need to wait your turn and you need to look at the process. I'm get some thoughts here I'm trying to get some thoughts here from a 49ers insider that I know. Give me one quick second. Yep, I had to get some quick insights. Sorry about that, folks. We're doing a whole lot of things at the same time. Just trying to get some insights here from 49ers insider and a fan that I know. I was trying to get this individual on the show, but I guess we ran out of time. But if I can get a little message from him, I will relay that back to you guys. But what are your thoughts? What do you think that Brandon Ayuk is going to do? Do you think that, because right now it feels like he feels disrespected about the 49ers not paying him. He feels like that he's not wanted. We keep seeing these videos with him and with these videos with him and the Commanders and the Steelers. He's talking about he'll be a dog in Pittsburgh. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, do you want Brandon Ayuk? If you are the Commanders, do you want Brandon Ayuk as your wide receiver? We shall see. But again, I think that the two dark horse teams, again, are the Arizona Cardinals and the New England Patriots, because they're going to have cap space. Two young teams with a lot of cap space who I believe eventually are going to start making moves, especially Arizona. And one thing about Arizona you guys got to remember is that they started playing well towards the end of the season. So they're going to be a lot better this year than a lot of people anticipate. And when you have Harrison Jr. and you have Kyler Murray, who's looks like he's all the way back. If folks got to be held accountable for this too. A lot of people thought that Kyler Murray was going to be out of Arizona and that Caleb Williams was going to be number one pick to the Arizona Cardinals. It didn't work like that. It did not work like that. So it's a lot of good things happening right now with the Arizona Cardinals. So we will see what happens with Brandon Ayuk and would they actually make that in-division swap, because if they do, that will be saying a lot about Brandon Ayuk, and it'll be saying how cocky the 49ers are. So we will definitely see how that goes. Now, folks, let's go to some WNBA coverage. Tonight, we have a few games on the WNBA schedule. As I bring up my schedule here, we have the Chicago Sky against the Atlanta Dream. Now, why is this such an important game? It's an important game because right now the Chicago Sky are 5th in the East, while the Atlanta Dream are 3rd. The Dream have been a very bipolar team. The Dream, I don't know what Dream team I'm going to get from day to day. Basically, it's a team where one day they'll hang in there with the Liberty, next game they'll lose to the Wings, and then they'll play hard against the Aces, and then they'll lose to the Sky or lose to the Fever. I don't know what team I'm getting. Now, what I do know when I look at the Sky, Camila Cardoso has to show up tonight. Last game she played, she had, 3 points? That can't happen. They got to play better. Angel Reese, in my opinion, in this game tonight, she has to score at least 16 and grab at least damn near 20 rebounds, because she's the heart and soul of that team. Kennedy Carter, she's going to have to play tough. And Mabry, she's going to have to make her 3-point shots. If she can do that, then the Atlanta Dream have an opportunity to win tonight's game. Now, moving on to the other games we have in the WNBA. Minnesota Lynx against New York Liberty. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is the game of games. This is a possible WNBA preview. We got New York against Minnesota, the 14-4 Minnesota Lynx against the 16-3 New York Liberty. Now, if I'm the Liberty, these are the questions I'm going to ask. Just as me, they won 4 straight. Me and Larry Patterson talked about this. Will Sabrina Ionescu show up the way that she needs to show up tonight? She's, 18.9 points per game, while Breanna Stewart's averaging 25.6 points per game. Is she going to show up? Jonquel Jones, she had a really mediocre game her last game, right? So you have to ask yourself, is she going to come back? Is she going to want to redeem herself? And she needs to redeem herself, because you're going against Minnesota, who is the best team in the West and the best team in the East. This game right here is going to determine a lot for me. It's going to determine if Minnesota is all the way back, even though they're 14-4. Are they all the way back? We look at Minnesota. We look at everything they've done this season. They lost against the Minnesota Wings, which was a tough loss. They beat the Sky. The Minnesota Wings, not the Minnesota Wings, but the Dallas Wings are still a decent team, even though their record does not show it. They lost to the Mercury by 1. Let's see here. They lost to the Aces by 14, and they lost to Connecticut Sun back on May the 23rd by 1. So they're still a good team. I think that Napisha Collier, who is playing really well this season, is in the MVP discussion. They've won 8 out of the last 10 games. Collier's averaging 26.1 points per game. Kayla McBride, 16.1 points per game. Elena Smith, the center, is averaging 16.9 points per game. She's averaging a cool 5.2 rebounds per game. But Collier's averaging 10.4 points rebounds per game, folks. This is going to be a game that is going to be won in the paint, I think. This is going to be a physical game. This is going to be a game where a lot of people might get knocked down. Minnesota, New York, Again, 14-4, 16-3. These are the best two teams in the WNBA. It could be argued that the Las Vegas Aces are the best team because the last time we played Vegas, Vegas beat Minnesota by 14. However, tonight, these are the best two teams in WNBA, and we'll see how things go there. Now, we go to the 9:30 and 10 o'clock slots. We'll go to the Mystics and Sparks first. A lot of people dismiss this game because it's two teams, 4 wins, 4 wins. Now, whoever loses this game is definitely on the track to get Paige Beckers. I'm still disappointed in the Washington Mystics. I really feel like they should have went and got themselves. And it's no offense. It's no offense to anyone that was drafted by Washington. It's no offense because I like UConn. UConn is one of my favorite franchises out there. But Aaliyah Edwards, she's averaging 11.4 points per game. Let me see how many rebounds she's averaging. She's averaging 5.9 rebounds per game. You could have had Angel Reese, Washington. You could have had Angel Reese. And you could have had her and you could have stunk. And then you could have brought in Paige Beckers. Think about that. Think about that. The Washington Wizards, I'm sorry, not the Washington Wizards, the Washington Mystics had the possibility of possibly getting Angel Reese, stinking, and then getting Paige Beckers. I mean, think about that, man. Even if they get Paige Beckers, we don't know what's going to happen with Della Don. We don't know where her career is going. Blessings out to her because, at this point, we really don't know if she's going to come back or not. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. But blessings to her. Hopefully everything is going good in her personal life. We know her backstory, etc. But you're the LA Sparks. You lose your top rookie. You lose Cameron Brink to a knee injury. You're the LA Sparks. You're one of them. We're one of the great franchises in WNBA history with Lisa Leslie, with the championships, etc. What are you going to do here? What are you going to do here? Because 4 wins, 4-14 for the Los Angeles Sparks is just unacceptable. And I'm not comparing them to the Lakers. Never would do that. But you're in LA. You're one of the top franchises. And one of my complaints is that, and of course, they're bringing the Golden State franchise to the WNBA. The WNBA needs to have at least 3 to 4 LA teams, in my opinion. At least 3 to 4 LA teams. Because the LA market and the California market is so big and so important to sports. So it's almost a tank bowl, folks. And I hate to say that, but whoever loses this game again is on the precipice of getting Paige Beckers because that's just how that rolls. Now, I guess people want to call this a game tonight. It really isn't. It's really the game in Minnesota with Minnesota and New York. But you got the Las Vegas Aces against the Indiana Fever. Now, this game is going to come down to a few things. First and foremost, I think Asia Wilson is going to try to go for 50 in this game. I think I think that Asia Wilson is going to try to go for 50 in this game. I think she's going to try and do some special things in this basketball game tonight. I'm going to give it to the Aces because they've gotten better. They've been getting better. The Aces have won 4 games in a row, folks. And their last game, they beat the Mystics by 11. And it could have been worse than that. So they beat the Mystics, they beat the Sky, they beat the Sun, they beat the Storm. You beat Seattle, you beat Connecticut, and they beat all these teams by double digits. So the Las Vegas Aces are playing good basketball right now. This game is going to be at T-Mobile Arena. You have Caitlin Clark, who's coming in, who has been playing exceptional basketball with her assist. She's been doing a really good job assisting the ball. Her biggest issue, just like in college, she starts out hot, but middle third, fourth quarter, she's not scoring the way she needs to. And I get it. She shoots the logo threes, and everybody thinks the logo threes are nice. And I understand that, folks. But last game, 2 of 10 from three-point land. You just can't do that. Kelsey Mitchell has been playing really, really good basketball, in my opinion. She's been playing – I'm sorry about that. I got some of the stats wrong. I was talking about per game. So your average in points right now when you look at the Indiana Fever, Kelsey Mitchell leads the team with 16.3 points per game, and then Caitlin Clark leads with 16.2 points per game. I'm a huge fan of her assist game and what she's doing right now. She's averaging 6.9 assists per game. Aaliyah Boston, and I've said this before, me and Larry Patterson said this. They're kind of playing that Jokic Murray game where they're doing this whole pick and pop, rolling to the basket. It looks a little old school Steve Nash with Amari Stoudemire, except Aaliyah Boston's not dunking anything. But it's beautiful basketball. But just like last game against Phoenix, Phoenix got in their way. They were up, 14-2, and they just started fouling late, making. And Phoenix is another case we'll talk about here soon, one of these days, that they're just getting in their way a lot of times. But one thing about the Aces, they do not get in their way. We saw the other night when they played a couple of days ago, last week when they played the Chicago Sky. When they're primed and ready to go, and plus Chelsea Gray is back, this team is pretty much unstoppable, folks. So now you got Chelsea Gray back, and you have a team in Las Vegas that is focused. You have the MVP. You currently have the MVP. Let's make no bones about it. Even though they're 10-6, A'ja Wilson is the MVP right now of this league. She continues to play great basketball. She's averaging 26.9 points per game. That's a little down from her 28-point game average, which is not a problem, only because they're starting to win basketball games. So as long as you're winning basketball games, folks, that's really, in my opinion, all that matters. So when you're the Las Vegas Aces, I think they take this game tonight and they continue to be that team that we all think is going to be there in the end. So let's go to baseball. What is going on with baseball, folks? And all I can say what's going on with baseball is just a bunch of craziness at this point. So we're going to give an update on the MLB standings as they are now, if this thing will load up to where it needs to be. And what are your thoughts on baseball so far this year, folks? What do you think? How do you feel about baseball? How do you feel that the season's going? Now, let's go through the American League and National League standings. They're just going to go through the top two teams. If the third team is close, we'll talk about that. We got the Orioles, who are tied with the Yankees for the lead in the AL East. In the AL Central, the Guardians are up 6 games on the Minnesota Twins, 7 on the Kansas City Royals. In the AL West, you have the Seattle Mariners, who are only 3 games up on the Houston Astros. The Texas Rangers are 8 games back. That's very critical. If you guys go back to, and I would have to get with Larry and see when we were talking about the Houston Astros, we were saying that eventually the Houston Astros were going to get back into the AL West. And lo and behold, they are back in the AL West. The Houston Astros, who everybody counted out and said they're done, they're coming back, folks. The Houston Astros are coming back. Now, they have 2 more games at the Blue Jays. They already beat the Blue Jays on yesterday. They got 1, 2, 3 more games against the Astros. Their next series is at the Minnesota Twins. After that, they got the Marlins. They got the Texas Rangers. And then, folks, very critical series. On July the 19th, they play the Seattle Mariners. They play them at Seattle. This is July 19th through the 21st. Then they have the Athletics. Then on the 26th of July, they have the Dodgers for 3 games. So you're looking at a schedule right now for the Astros where they have to prove themselves, but they also have a lot of winnable games, especially when you're talking about that critical series on the 19th of July. The Houston Astros, by the end of this month, could be division leaders once again. And we already know there are teams that are in the playoffs currently, like the Yankees, who they start out the season, they beat Houston, they're like, oh, we got Houston. That's the last team the New York Yankees want to see in the playoffs is the Houston Astros, because we know that the Astros, just like the San Francisco Giants used to be, if they get in the playoffs, if the Houston Astros get in the playoffs, you know it's trouble coming. Let's be honest. If the Houston Astros make the playoffs, you understand that they are a threat to beat you because they're a different animal when it comes to the postseason. You know, this is a very good baseball team, and we got to keep our eyes out for them. Now, going to the the NL East, the Philadelphia Phillies continue to play good baseball. They are currently 8 games up on the Atlanta Braves, 13 up on the New York Mets. NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers have put a lot of not a lot, but they put distance between themselves, between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. 6 games back for the Cardinals, 9 for the Pirates. You look at the NL West, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Folks, The San Diego Padres are only 6 games back. They are hanging tough. Now, the Dodgers are waiting to get Mookie Betts back. They have to continue to try to pitch well. But you have to continue to watch for the Padres. Now, the Diamondbacks, after getting to the MLB, to get into the championship game last year, to the World Series, they're 10.5 games back. It looks like they've taken a step back, which we could all have predicted. Now, I thought Arizona was going to still be good this year, but I didn't think they were going to be up to the level they were last year. The NL West is one of those divisions. Again, if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, you know in your heart, and folks, sometimes you have to look inside yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. If you're the Los Angeles, and there's 2 teams here I'm going to mention one more time. If you're the New York Yankees, if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, you know that if you can get to the World Series and you can face each other, that's money. That's history. You guys have a history in this World Series thing. But in the heart of the Los Angeles Dodgers, you know you don't want to play the Padres in the playoffs. The Padres, a lot of Dodgers fans clown the Padres, but whenever they see them in the playoffs, the Padres always play them tough, and they can beat them. They beat them last year. Beat them a couple years ago, actually. If you are let's see here. Let's make sure I got the right team. Dodgers, yeah, we mentioned them. If you're the New York Yankees, you don't want to see the Houston Astros. So Dodgers, Yankees. You know there are 2 nemesis that you have that you do not want to see. Also, let's get to the wild card, because the wild card is also critically important. The Atlanta Braves, who have been struggling at times. They've lost 1 game in a row. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They're still 3.5 games up. The Mets continue to play hot baseball. They've won 1 in a row. They've won 6 out of 10. They are 1.5 games back. The Arizona Diamondbacks, who I just mentioned, who I just said, they aren't as good as they were last year. However, they're only 2.5 games back. The Giants are only 3 games back. The Pirates are 3 games back. The Cincinnati Reds are 4.5, and the Washington Nationals are 4.5 back. The Cubs, who are the most surprising team to me, are 5 games back. I would expected the Cubs to be a lot better than what they were. So if you are these teams right now, especially the Atlanta Braves, you've won the division all these years in a row. You've won 90 games, almost 100 games, whatever. And every time you look, you get beat by the Phillies. If you're the Braves, your goal should not be the division. Your goal should be to try to get healthy. You already lost Acuna. Can you make a deal? Probably not at this point, because the Braves don't usually do things like that. More pitching would always help. You have enough offense, in my opinion. When you have Ozuna and those guys, you have enough offense. It just may not be the Braves' year. They won a championship a couple years back. The thing is, can you get Acuna back? Can you get him healthy going to next year? Because the thing about this division, folks, nobody's going anywhere. And I've said that in the NL East. The Phillies aren't going anywhere. The Mets are going to continue to get better. And I'm on record that the Nationals are going to continue to get better, and they're going to get back to their championship ways. Not maybe winning 1 or 2 in a row, but they're going to get back to playing championship baseball very soon. They have a young team. They have assets. The Nationals are coming, folks, so it doesn't get any easier. And right now, you're looking at the NL wildcard standings. When you have the Padres, the Braves, and the Cardinals, those are 3 dangerous teams. And it doesn't matter if you win your division in the NL. If you got to contend with those 3 teams, you're gonna have issues, because they're still 3 very tough teams. So that's how I look at that when it comes to the NL. In the AL, we have the Yankees, Twins, and Royals. The Red Sox are a game and a half back. The Astros are 3 games back, and the Rays are 4 games back. That's another team you got to watch out for. You got to watch out for the Tampa Bay Rays, because they're going to continue to play good baseball. They're going to get hot in the second half. Second half of baseball hopefully continues to bring us what we've seen so far in a great season. So, besides all that, we're going to go to the final topic here as we tell the world how we feel. Well, folks, comes to the final segment of the day, and we're just going to tell the world how we feel. Folks, I see a lot of people upset online because of these contracts some of the basketball players are getting. And this is my response to that. Well, look at the NBA. They used to be on tape delay. They used to be a disgrace. Even though they had great players for decades, even though there was this great player, the Iceman, you had Julius Erving, you had all types of great players back in the day. Jerry West, going back to the 50s and stuff like that. You had all types of great players in the NBA. But what changed it? Larry and Magic. You had Larry Magic. You had Julius Erving during the 80s. You had Charles Barkley. Then you had Michael Jordan. But specifically, we're going to name the big names. We're going to name, and yes, in the NHL, there have been a lot of good stars. There have been a lot of great stars. In the NFL, there have been a lot of great stars. But specifically, I'm talking about people were talking about the NHL salaries compared to, like, what was it? I think it was the Anaheim salary, combined salary compared to the Boston salaries. I think it was like $58 million. It was like $58 million to like $62 million. So you look at the NBA, you go from Larry and Magic to Michael, then you go to Shaq and Kobe, then you go to LeBron. Now you look at all these young stars. Listen, folks, you all continue to watch. You all continue to bet on FanDuel. It's entertainment. You all still watch, so guess what? These players are going to continue to get paid. The NBA, the NFL, these contracts are only going to get bigger. And what you guys have to understand is look at the economy around you. Money changes every day. So, of course, players aren't getting $100 million deals back in 2000. The economy was different. The economy changes. As money changes, that happens. Money changes. And why be upset at the players because they're getting paid big money? I get so sick and tired of people saying, oh, it's a child's game. It's a child. No, it's not a child's game. You ever been to an NFL game? It's like corporate. It's like corporate America. They got guards outside holding big guns because they don't want to make sure the place is safe. You got millionaires walking around. You got millionaires in booths. You got high-level people. This isn't a kid's game. This is serious business. When you're talking about professional sports, folks, it's a serious business. This is not a joke. This is not a game. Stop comparing your life to their life. It's not the same thing. Yes, if I was a teacher, I want to get paid more. And I get that. Teachers should get paid more. But guess what? Teachers are watching the NFL on the weekends. Teachers are watching the NFL. People are watching the NFL. Education is important, and I get it. A lot of professions out there that are important. I get it. They should be paid more. But it's all about what is your marketability. It's about market. And when it comes to the NFL, the NBA, even NHL, MLB, I mean, look at the contracts in MLB. Look at some of the $200, $300 million contracts. Look at Ellie De La Cruz. How many millions is he going to get paid? He's going to probably get paid $500 million once his contract comes up. In the next 15 years, 20 years, you're going to have people getting paid $1 billion. But it won't matter because the money in 2024, the money in 2044, and the money in 2000, the money in 1990, it's different. I know people want to go back and say, oh, back in the old days, this cost this cost that. Money's different, folks. Money changes every day, changes every 5 years, every decade. So if you're so mad at these players for making all this money, don't watch. Don't bet on FanDuel. But you can't do it. You can't do it, can you? You want to keep betting on your little FanDuels. You want to watch the games because it's intriguing. You love your team so much. You know, people always say, we. What do you mean we? You are a citizen. You are a spectator. You like, oh, I would play the game for free. No, the hell you wouldn't. Some of you, if you went out there and played and got on the NFL field, you get crushed. You get crushed. You're talking about, oh, it's so easy. Have you ever, listen, unless you've ever played high-level basketball, I played in middle school, didn't play in high school, but I played football, I played basketball. Even at the lower levels, it was hard. Even training at the low levels, it was hard. But thing is, you're talking about college. You're talking about the pros. It is not easy. You ever talk to a college player about their schedule? About how they got to get up at 4:30, 6:30 in the morning. You got practice. You got schedule. You got to have breakfast. You got to do this, do that. It's not easy, folks. We all choose our path in life. We all choose our path in life. And sometimes it's easier for some of us. Sometimes it's not easier. It's not as easy for the next person. But guess what, folks? We all have our avenues. Stay in your lane. Do what you can do and make the best out of what you can make the best out of. Stop saying that what you would do if you were in that position. Because I would not, even if let's say I was completely healthy right now. Let's say I was 25, 24 years old, and I wanted to go out there and play football. I want to trial for the NFL. You know how hard that is? You know how many players actually get drafted in the NBA? It's not that much. You know how hard it is to play professional sports? It's not easy. And it's more than the sports. It's dealing with people like me in the media. It's having to deal with all types of different stuff. People always wish for what they don't have. But be careful what you wish for. Sometimes you just might get it and you don't know what all comes with it. Now, before I leave today, let me go ahead and let me give a shout out to the Snowman, who I was trying to get on the show, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to get him on. But I just want to get his quick evaluation of Brandon Ayuk. He said he'll sign. The 49ers are working on getting their star receivers paid. He's talking about think about the situation with Deebo Samuel. I can agree to disagree. I'm going to try to get Snowman on here one of these days here soon so we can talk about the 49ers even more, because I think that they are an interesting conversation because of all the cap space and things like that. So I will try to get Snowman on here, hopefully maybe this week, maybe next week, and we'll talk more about the 49ers. Until then, folks, this has been episode 58 of the Robb Johnson Sports Show. Remember, episode 59 is coming this week, hopefully tomorrow, and then episode 60 will be Sunday. Myself and Larry Patterson, as we discuss the best in sports. You all have a great day, and I will see you next time. And you all, please be blessed.
It's caught in the crossfire.